Namaste to all my dear students. In the last class, we have discussed about nerve impulse generation. The stages responsible for nerve impulse generations are resting stage, depolarization, repolarization, and hyperpolarization. What are the gates will open in these stages? Everything we have discussed in the previous lecture. In this lecture, we will discuss about nerve impulse transmission. Now, in generation, if we recall that, we know that nerve impulse generation means there is a change in membrane potential. Initially, it was negative. Now, it becomes positive. So, we have discussed the changes of membrane potential. But we didn't discuss that how the electrical current will be passing from one neuron to another neuron. Let's discuss today. So the topic of my discussion is nerve impulse transmission. Let's say this one axon. Now, axon, when the membrane potential will change in the depolarized state, in exoplasm, the negativity will shift towards the positivity. Let's say there are three sites. It is A, it is B, and it is C. So when there is no nerve impulse generation, inside or in exoplasm, the membrane potential will be negative. But outside, the membrane potential or the charge will be positive. When it will occur? When there is no nerve impulse generation. Now, in the next stage, let's say there will be generation of impulse at the site of A. Okay? So at A, if there is generation of nerve impulse, permeability of sodium will increase. There will be immediate influx of sodium ion, and that's how exoplasm will become positive, right? So at the site of A, exoplasm will be positive. With respect to which? With respect to ECF. So let's consider that ECF is negative at the site of A. When it will come to at the site of B, there is no nerve impulse generation. So it will be as usual. Inside it will be negative and outside it will be positive. What will be the condition at the C site? Same here. It will be negative and outside it will be positive. Now we know that current will flow from positive to negative direction. Now here inside it will be positive and outside it will be negative. So nerve impulse will be transmitted from A to B inside, but to complete the circuit, impulse or the current will be transmitted from B to A, where it will occur at outside. So inside from A to B, outside it's B to A. Why it will occur? To complete the circuit, right? Now remember that nerve impulse always will be transmitted from cell body towards axon. So this side is actually cell body side. Cell body. Okay. And this side it will be axon. So always nerve impulse will be transmitted from left to here right side. Okay. Now what will happen? If this kind of circuit will generate, then in the next stage what will happen? Suppose it is the A side. So when the current will flow in A side, there will be regain of negativity because current will flow inside towards this direction, and outside it will become positive, and that side also we can say it is repolarized. But at the site B, it becomes positive inside and it becomes negative outside. Means at the site B, there will be depolarization. But at site C, there is no change. So it will be negative inside and positive outside. Right? So what exactly will happen? The nerve impulse will transmit from A to B side. Now what will happen here at the B side? Similar to here, impulse will be transmitted or current will flow from B to C inside and from C to B outside to complete the circuit. So ultimately what will happen here? Ultimately there is a flow of depolarization, or we can say there is a flow of the circuit, or there is a flow of electric current from the cell body towards the axon, right? So that's how there will be transmission of nerve impulse. Okay. Now here we have discussed about the continuous transmission of nerve impulse. Means there is no break, right? It is continuous, right? But we also know that there are two types of neurons. One is myelinated, another is non-myelinated, right? So this kind of impulse, it is called continuous transmission of impulse, and it will occur in non-myelinated nerve fiber or neurons. Okay. So this kind of impulse transmission is also called continuous transmission, and it will occur in non-myelinated nerve fiber. So why I am discussing here? We have myelinated nerve fiber. Let's draw this. This is the axon. In axon, there will be myelin sheath. What is myelin sheath? It is nothing but the fatty deposition by Schwann cell in peripheral nervous system, right? So you have to tell me that, you write in the comment section that which cells will produce the myelin sheath in central nervous system. Schwann cell will produce myelin sheath in peripheral nervous system. But you have to write in the comment section that which cell, which type of glial cell, I am giving you clue, and which starts with O, and that can produce the myelin sheath in central nervous system. Okay. So let's say this is myelin sheath. Myelin sheath. The space between two myelin sheaths is called nodes of Ranvier. Now, as there is myelin sheath present, at this position, there will be no transmission or no exchange of ions because it is the insulated part, right? There will be no exchange or transport of ion across the membrane, right? So, where the transport of ion will occur? At the nodes of Ranvier. So at the nodes of Ranvier, there will be transport of ions only. So for that reason, this depolarization event will occur only in the nodes of Ranvier. It will not occur at the site where myelin sheath is present. Myelin sheath here will act as insulator. That's why here I have drawn the small circuit, right? It is continuous, small circuit. But here, as myelin sheath is present, this circuit will be longer. Means there will be jumping, or we can say the impulse will be transmitted, or the circuit will be completed in a longer way. Means there will be jumping of impulse from one node of Ranvier to another node of Ranvier. This kind of transmission will be called as saltatory transmission. Okay, so this kind of transmission will be called as saltatory transmission. This saltatory transmission, actually it is very fast. I mean, it is faster than the continuous transmission. Why it is faster? Why it is faster? Because if you walk continuously and if you jump, then obviously if you jump, you will reach at your site faster if you run continuously, right? So as it is jumping, or as the impulse or the electrical current will have a bigger steps, then it will move faster, right? Secondly, this kind of transmission will be very faster than continuous transmission, and this kind of transmission needs less energy. Remember that, if you recall that during depolarization, or to maintain, which channel is responsible? Sodium voltage gated channel, right? But to maintain the negativity, there is a requirement of pump, right? Pump requirement. So ion channels will only work in nodes of Ranvier. It will not work in the myelin sheath area. That's why it requires less energy than the continuous transmission. Okay. So this one, or this is whole about nerve impulse transmission. Remember that in generation we have discussed the changes of potential, and these changes of potential will lead to creation of some electrical current which will flow from one neuron to another neuron, or which will flow through the axon, and if it is myelinated, it will be called as saltatory transmission. Okay, the word saltation means jumping. So this one is nerve impulse transmission. Coming to next topic which we will discuss here is synapse. So synapse, what is the definition of synapse? Synapse means it is the junction between two neurons. Okay, it is the junction between two neurons. Suppose if we draw one neuron here, it is cell body. These are dendrites. And this is axon. Axon will end at axon terminal. And axon terminal will have knob-like structure. That is called synaptic knob, right? This is neuron, one neuron. Now this neuron is attached to another neuron by its dendrites. And again there will be axon terminal, right? So this one, these are dendrites. So let's say this is a dendrite. Now in this junction where the synaptic knob is a very close proximity with the dendrite, that junction will be called as synapse. So this small junction will be called as synapse. And if we zoom in, then we will get a synaptic knob, which is a knob-like structure, and and the dendrite here. Let's say this is the dendrite. If we zoom in, right? So here, this one, and I told you earlier that nerve impulse will be transmitted from the cell body towards the axon. So here, in this direction, there will be nerve impulse transmission. So here also, nerve impulse transmission will be in this direction. In this direction, right? In this direction. Now, here, this neuron is called presynaptic neuron. And this neuron is called postsynaptic neuron. This one, the membrane or the dendrite will have membrane. So this one or the membrane is called presynaptic membrane. And the membrane from which the impulse will come, it is called, this one is called postsynaptic. Postsynaptic membrane, and this one is called presynaptic membrane. We know that there is a gap in between them. This gap is called synaptic cleft. Three together, presynaptic membrane, postsynaptic membrane, and synaptic cleft together will be called as synapse. Synapse. Okay, let's take another synapse. Now, how the signal or impulse will be transmitted from the presynaptic neuron to postsynaptic neuron, we will discuss. Okay, presynaptic membrane will have some channels, and that channels will help to transport calcium ions. When we will it will transport the calcium ion if there is any action potential which will develop in the presynaptic neuron. At that time, calcium channel will open, and outside calcium concentration is higher with respect to inside calcium concentration. So first point, we can say that action potential developed at presynaptic neuron. PSN means presynaptic neuron. So as calcium concentration is higher with respect to inside, immediately there will be influx of calcium ion. Calcium ion will enter into the synaptic knob. So there will be entry or influx of calcium ion in presynaptic knob. So in the synaptic knob, there will be synaptic vesicles, and this synaptic vesicles is filled with neurotransmitter. And when this calcium ion will enter into the synaptic knob, this synaptic vesicles will fuse with the plasma membrane, and it will burst and release the neurotransmitter into synaptic cleft. Okay. So next point will be bursting of synaptic vesicle to release neurotransmitter. So this one 1, 2, 3, let's say this one 4. Fourth point is that when this neurotransmitter will be released in the synaptic cleft, in postsynaptic membrane, there will be some channel proteins. Or we can say there will be some receptor which can bind with the neurotransmitter. So neurotransmitter here, it will bind with the receptor. So this one receptor and this one synaptic vesicle. Okay. So there will be binding of neurotransmitter with receptor. Where it is present? Present on postsynaptic membrane. Okay. So when there will be binding of neurotransmitter to the postsynaptic membrane, there will be change of permeability of postsynaptic membrane. Change of permeability means some channels will open which can carry or which can transport some specific ions. Let's discuss about that. So here there are 4 points. We will go to the next point. So neurotransmitter actually can be of 2 types, excitatory and inhibitory. If the nature of the neurotransmitter is excitatory, then in the postsynaptic membrane, sodium permeability will increase. Means the channel which can transport sodium ion from out to in, they will open. So here neurotransmitter, depending on the transmitter, we can write it fifth point. Neurotransmitter can be of two types, excitatory and inhibitory. Inhibitory. The examples are excitatory is acetylcholine. Here example is like serotonin, dopamine, etc. etc. Okay. So if it is excitatory neurotransmitter, in the postsynaptic membrane, sodium channel will open. Outside sodium concentration is higher, so immediately there will be influx of sodium into the postsynaptic neuron. We know that if always inside it will be negative during the resting condition, but if sodium ion will enter into the postsynaptic neuron, there will be development of action potential, right? So a new action potential will be generated in the postsynaptic neuron. So we can say that the action potential is transferred from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron. Here, so it is for excitatory. Coming to inhibitory. If inhibitory neurotransmitter is released, then which channel will open? Chloride channel will open. Where? In postsynaptic membrane. And that can lead to hyperpolarization. And we know that hyperpolarization is the last stage of the nerve impulse generation. So nerve impulse will not be transmitted or will not be generated. It will be stopped here. It will be blocked here. But here there will be depolarization. Okay. So here we can say that depending on the neurotransmitter, it will be decided that the impulse will travel to the next neuron or it will be blocked. So the impulse transmission can be regulated by the neurotransmitter, right? Now, the question is that is there any other type of conduction or is there any other synapses present? The answer will be yes. There are another type which is called electrical synapse. In electrical synapse, there will be no neurotransmitter. So how the impulse will be transmitted from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron? Actually, pre and postsynaptic neuron in electrical synapse, they are closely attached. Okay, there will be no synaptic cleft present. So whenever there will be generation of action potential in the presynaptic membrane, it will be immediately it will be transferred or transmitted to the post neuron. There is no requirement of anything. It will be acting as single neuron. Okay. So here there are some differences between electrical synapse and chemical synapse. What are the differences? First difference is that synaptic cleft. In electrical synapse, synaptic cleft is 0.2 nanometer. But in chemical synapse, synaptic cleft is greater than 20 nanometer. Okay. Second one is that electrical synapse is rare in human body, but it is common to human body. So most of the synapses which is present in human body are chemical synapses. Okay. Here, definitely, as it is similar to the transmission of a single neuron, that's why the transmission is fast here. But as here, the secretion of neurotransmitter, then binding of neurotransmitter, then changing in the permeability of the post neuron, all this incidents will happen. That's why this transmission is slow. Fourth point is that there is no synaptic delay. Synaptic delay. No synaptic delay. But here there will be synaptic delay because of the same reason that there will be secretion of neurotransmitter. Fifth, very important. The fifth point is very important. In electrical synapse, the transmission cannot be controlled, right? Can't be controlled. Means it will always be excitatory. Means whatever action potential will be generated in the presynaptic neuron, definitely post will be or it will be transmitted to the post. There will be no blockage. But here in chemical synapse, it can be regulated or controlled depending on the neurotransmitter. So there are two types of neurotransmitter here we have discussed. So total discussion is how the nerve impulse will be transmitted. Then we have discussed about the saltatory conduction. Then we have discussed about the synapse, and then we have discussed about how the stages of impulse transmission through the synapse. Then we have discussed about types of synapses. Okay, electrical and chemical synapses. And we have also discussed about inhibitory and excitatory neurotransmitter. Now I am ending this session here. If you have any doubt, anything to ask, you can comment. And if you want any other video, the topic, any other topic, you can also write there. And if you really understood the topic, definitely you can crack questions. You check previous year questions. It will be easy for you. You revise the concept again and again. If you have any lack of clarity, you see the video again and again and have a crystal clear concept. And if you like the video, like and subscribe and keep in touch. Thank you. See you in the next video.